Peace, this is Tareck Adeeb, and I'm bringing you another technique because I really want to help with this process. It's a strange time we're living in, and there's so much division, and again, I keep talking about people taking sides, and it's natural for us to do that. And what we have to do is, at times like this, when we're suffering and we're feeling angry or resentment, and to be honest, I experience this a lot at work, when I used to work for people. I might have a manager, let's say, who I didn't really necessarily agree with, or I'd have a grievance with someone, from way back in the day, and it's lingering. It's amazing how negative and to such extreme levels. Let's say if you were with, if something horrendous happened to you, like an injustice, families died, let's say, and how could you forgive, someone else? How could you actually start to have compassion for those people? I mean, it'd be very difficult, wouldn't it? When somebody has, done something heinous to you, taking your land or whatever it may be, and, you've got to deal with it. Look at many indigenous cultures. So, a technique that I would like to offer you all. The best thing you can do, and it's like any negotiation, when someone feels affronted, aggrieved, and someone's done something that's upset you, the best thing you can do is write it down. That's why a diary is such an important thing. If you just write all your thoughts down, get it all down on a piece of paper. Someone that, who's upset you, and you've got a grievance with them, and you still can't stop thinking about them. This is trauma, negative thought patterns, anger, resentment, hostility, vengeance, all these sort of very negative things. And if you could just write it all down, and then once you've got it all out of your system, what you're doing, it's like a therapy, you're releasing all these subconscious, and if you don't focus on it, it stays there. That's the problem. You develop a filter, a filter of hate, a filter of anger, rage, whatever it may be. So, it's very, very important, I believe, as a technique, just to write it all down. It sounds really simple. That's why, a journal is always such a good thing, because you can always look back at it, especially if you're doing astrology. You can look back at certain transits and, what was I thinking back then? And, when you look at these retrogrades and you look back into the future and you do this, it's amazing. But for now, in terms of this technique, you write it all down. And it's like writing a letter to someone as well. I mean, this is another part of the technique. It's like somebody who's upset you and someone who's aggrieved you. You write everything down. This could also happen to, let's say, someone who's passed. There's all sorts of traumas that exist between family members. And, you might be upset with someone who never got the chance to talk to them again. They died. Another great opportunity is to write it all down. Write everything, all the feelings, and that's the real key to it. It's writing your feelings down. We don't get the chance to talk about our feelings, and as men, it's not really always the right thing to do. Sometimes we just have to just grin and bear it. We can get upset, we can get angry. That's what I talked about anger the other week. We can use it energetically. And one of my friends mentioned about grief, and it is a form of grief, and the worst possible form of upset is when someone passes and you never got the chance to say the things you wanted to say to them, and you've got to live with that then for the rest of your life. So if you just write it down and you write to them in the present tense, if they're alive, if they've passed, or someone who's done something terrible to you, or let's say if someone went missing and you never saw them again, and you could just write it all down. And then the key now is to use the elements. You write it all down, you're in the present tense, you're feeling it, you're getting it all out of your system, all that emotion on a piece of paper, and then you burn it. You let it go into the ether. Or you can put it into water, you could do that also. Or you can bury it. This is working with the elements. Whether I have a natural propensity for fire, I like to burn these things because it just transmutates it. It releases it, it dissolves it, it puts it into the ether. And honestly, if you can sit with that and recognize the difference of the shift that you might have made psychologically, internally, by releasing it into the ether, and then trusting that you've moved forward, and then just relaxing into the echo, the test that might come after, then from there on, something magical might happen, and you might realize that you finally let go of a negative belief pattern or an anger or a vengeance that is no longer serving you. And then you can be free from it. You can forgive, hopefully. You can't necessarily forget, but you can be at peace. And for that, peace.